So welcome everyone. And before we could start, let me take your attendance. First is Boniface. Boniface, are you there?
Present, sir.
Okay. Maritim. Maritim. Then Nathan.
Present, sir.
Okay. And finally Petwell. Okay, let me welcome you to today's class. And today we'll be dealing with computer hardware and software. So let me share my screen. Can everyone see my screen? Okay,
Yes,
we
we
can
can see.
So by the end of this session, everyone of you should be able to explain the meaning of computer software. Then secondly, the meaning of computer hardware. And finally, you should be able to identify the various components or the various types of computer hardware and software. So who has any idea about the meaning of computer software? Another? You have any idea of what a computer software is?
Thank you, sir. Computer software are the intangible parts of the computer that we are unable to see.
Okay, that's nice. And then we move on to computer hardware. Who knows the meaning or the definition of computer hardware? So if no one knows the meaning of computer hardware, I have a video over here, and you can familiarize yourself with this.
Hardware and software, two terms you've probably heard of at one point or another. The odds are high that you use both on a daily basis, whether it's with your smartphone or personal computer. Let's take a deeper look at what these two things are and why they're important. Hardware is any element of a computer that's physical. This includes things like monitors, keyboards, and also the insides of devices like microchips and hard drives. Software is anything that tells hardware what to do and how to do it, including computer programs and apps on your phone. So video games, photo editors, and web browsers are just a few examples. Hardware and software are very different from each other, but they also need one another in order to function. Let's look at an example of this using a smartphone. In this case, the hardware would be the physical phone itself, and the software would be its operating system and its apps. If we were to take away the software, we would just have a dead phone in our hands. It wouldn't be able to make calls, text, or go online because it's not receiving any kind of instructions. On the other hand, let's say we have no hardware, meaning there's no actual phone. If all we have are the programs, we just have a bunch of instructions, but nothing to give those instructions to. So the big picture here is that hardware needs software to tell it what to do, but software also needs hardware in order to act out its directions. Technology will continue to evolve, and though we may not be sure of how things will look in, say, 100 years, this combination of hardware and software will be there, serving as its foundation.
So that's the end of the video. And we can start off our class by dividing the following terms. 1, computer hardware. And computer hardware is a collection of physical elements that constitute a computer system. Computer hardware refers to the physical parts or components of a computer, such as monitor, mouse, and keyboard, all of which are the physical objects that can be touched. You can say these components are tangible. Next on computer software. A computer software is a generic term for organized collection of computer data and instructions. So the difference between computer hardware and software is that the hardware part of it is tangible, and then the software part of the computer is intangible. So next on input devices. So for hardware components, we have two types of devices, which is input devices and output devices. And we can define input devices as any peripheral or peripheral, which means a piece of a computer hardware equipment to provide data and control signal to an information processing system, such as a computer or other information appliance. An input device translates data from a form that is understandable by human beings to one that can be understood by the computer. And the most common input devices are the monitor, keyboard, and mouse. So for the monitor can be an output device or an input device, but for our case, the monitor we are talking about is a touch screen. So this image shows example of manual input devices. So on the far left, we have the keyboard, then a pointing device, which is a mouse, a remote control, joystick, a microphone, a touch screen, scanner, a graphic tablet, a webcam, and a digital camera. Next on output devices. So an output device is any piece of computer hardware equipment used to communicate the results of data processing carried out by an information processing system, such as a computer. This converts the electronically generated information into a human readable format. And examples of this computer hardware, you can see the first one is a CRT monitor, then a TFT monitor, a laser printer, a dot matrix printer, a speaker, a multimedia projector, and a plotter. So for the hardware components, these components include a CPU, which is a central processing unit. And the function of a CPU is that it executes instructions and perform calculations for computer programs and processes. Next, we have the random access memory, RAM. This provides a temporary storage for data and instructions that the CPU needs to access quickly while executing programs. We also have storage devices. And examples of these storage devices include hard disk drive and solid state drive SSDs, USB flash drives, and other components that can be used for storage. The function of these storage devices is to store data, files, and software applications persistently for long-term use. Then graphics processing unit, commonly known as the GPU. This is a specialized hardware designed to accelerate graphics, graphic rendering, and processing tasks commonly used in gaming, multimedia, and visual computing applications. Next on to motherboard. And the function of the motherboard is to connect and provide communication between various hardware components of a computer, including the CPU, the RAM, storage devices, and even expansion cards. Networking hardware. The function of networking hardware is to enable communication and data exchange between computers and other devices over a network, such as the internet or the local area network. And examples of this networking hardware include network interface card, commonly known as NIC, a router, a switch, and a modem. Next, we can look at peripheral devices, which include printers, scanners, external hard drive, and webcams. And these peripheral devices provide additional functionality and capabilities to a computer system for specific tasks such as printing, scanning, storage, and multimedia. Next, let's look at computer software components. And the first component is the operating system, or the OS. Example of the operating systems include Windows, Mac OS, Linux, and Unix. And the main purpose of an operating system is to manage computer hardware resources and provide services for computer programs. It also acts as the interface between the hardware and the user. Next, we have application software. Application software performs specific tasks or functions for users, such as word processing, spreadsheet calculation, graphic design, web browsing, and media playback. Examples of this application software include Microsoft Office Suite, which is made up of Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Also, we have Adobe Photoshop, Google Chrome, and VLC Media Player. Next, we have utility software. Utility softwares provide tools and services to enhance system performance, to manage files, ensuring security, and to troubleshoot issues. And examples of these utility softwares include antivirus software, like Kaspersky, disk cleanup tools, file compression utilities, and many more. We can also look at programming software. And this type of computer software include integrated development in environment IDE, like Visual Studio Code, Eclipse, Android Studio, and even NetBeans IDE. And the function of this programming software is to facilitate the creation, testing, and debugging of software applications by programmers and developers. Then next is system software. Example of software, these softwares include device drivers, firmware, and system utilities. And their main purpose is to support the operation of computer hardware and provide essential services for the functioning of the operating system and other applications. We also have database management system, or commonly known as DBMS. And this include MySQL, Oracle Database, and Microsoft SQL Server. The main function of this database management system is to manage and organize data in databases, to provide efficient storage, retrieval, and manipulation of structured information. Next, we also have multimedia software. An example of these softwares are Adobe Premiere Pro, Audacity, iTunes, and Spotify. These multimedia softwares are used to enable users to create, edit, organize, and play multimedia content such as audio, video, and images. Next, on to communication software. These communication softwares are used to facilitate communication and collaboration between individuals or groups through text, voice, video, and file sharing over networks. Examples of these communication software include Skype, Slack, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, or even Google Meet. Next is we can look at security software. Security softwares are used to protect computer systems and data from various security threats, such as malwares, hackers, and unauthorized access. An example of this security softwares include antivirus programs, firewall softwares, and encryption tools. And that's the end of our discussion today. And before we can end, is there any question or anyone who needs a clarification? So if there is no question or no clarification needed, here is an assignment for you. And the assignment is, what are the various considerations when purchasing computer hardware and software? What are the various considerations when purchasing computer hardware and software? So thanks for your time and have a good evening.
Good evening, Jude.